So good evening, everybody. Welcome to this public event, the public talk on healing relationships, organised by Lama Choedak Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra. And we're fortunate Rinpoche, Lama Choedak Rinpoche, who's the spiritual director of our organisation, is giving this talk tonight. My name's Jampal. I'm the vice president of the society. So I'm very delighted on behalf of everyone in the organisation to see you all able to make it here this evening. We organised this event some weeks and months ago, and we hold these events regularly throughout the year, these public talks and other activities, but we have, as a result of the catastrophe that's hit Nepal in the last week or 10 days, we've used this opportunity to try to, people can rally their support together for this special cause of the Nepalese people, which is, I'm sure there's many people here who've been to Nepal and or who have friends, Nepalese friends. There's a lot of big Nepalese community in Australia, including Canberra. And so it's a very relevant thing. You can see the way the Australian people have been moved by the cause of the Nepalese people and the disaster that they're faced with. And Nepal's an amazing place. I've had the good fortune to go there a number of times, and it's throughout history it's had this incredibly mystic appeal because of the incredible geography and the incredibly exotic, rich spiritual culture they have, of course, which is, you can still go to Nepal and Kathmandu and walk around there and you can, it is just intoxicating, just how rich and sort of the spiritualism there in that nation, and that you can see how that attracted all those, even before the hippie movement, the British and everybody was very drawn to what was happening up in those hills, and but it's still there today. It still exists today, and so many people have been touched by that who have been there. But what's most memorable that you come away with is the friendliness of the people, the kind of dignified resilience of the people. That's the thing that I think is the message that comes across strongly past all the kind of ritual and colour and exotic architecture and what's left of it. That's the thing that really touches people's hearts, and so many people have been blessed by that culture of kindness and the rich spirituality, the Hinduism and Buddhism. The Nepalese people have been very kind to the Tibetan Buddhists as well, and in fact, a good part of Nepal is culturally Tibetan Buddhist, which is particularly relevant to our organisation, being the Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra, and what one of the things that really struck me about the Nepalese people being one of the poorest countries in the world is that there's kind of the generosity or the spirit they have to put up with inconvenience, the sort of things, the inconveniences that they experience on an ordinary day would just make headlines, in our society, just power failures, like two-thirds of each day, the political problems, the corruption, and just the dysfunction of the country, It's just the public transport system's excruciating, And we just can't imagine it. And they seem to be able to carry that with such good nature. And that's the thing that personally I've really been touched by, and that's a great inspiration, and you just kind of want to rub shoulders with the people and get a bit of that, because we all need it, that kind of resilience. And but of course, this tragedy that's happening now just seems so so unimaginable in a place that was already so dysfunctional, and so we are connected with a number of monasteries in Nepal, which actually the heads of our particular lineage of Buddhism are in Kathmandu, and so we have a direct kind of avenue, channel that we'll be sending the funds that we raise to them. They in particular the International Buddhist Academy in Kathmandu, and Khenpa Ngawang Jordan, who's the head of that, is he has personally, directing the resources that he's got, which is a lot of monks who are out there physically, moving rubble and helping people and housing people and providing shelter and whatever other help they can. Who sort of they're directing their resources to that. But of course, money is always just something that they can't get very far without it. And so we have our intention with the money that we've already raised is to channel that through the IBA and Khenpa Ngawang Jordan, and at his discretion how that gets used, which is for the benefit of all the community, which they're very connected with, and so there's a donation boxes there, and we'll be putting our hand out at the end of this. If you have something to give us, it'd be very, very appreciated and very important. So we just hope that, all you can do is hope that after all this, that Nepal and Kathmandu will be a better place, with all the help that seems to be surge of goodwill from around the world that's come from to come and help the Nepalese people. And so I'd like obviously explain that and introduce that as part of it, the evening as an important part of the purpose of this evening. But we have, as I mentioned, Lama Choedak Rinpoche, who's the spiritual director of our Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra. He's grew up in Nepal. He was a refugee from Tibet in 1959. His family escaped. The Tibetan nomad family escaped when Rinpoche was 5, and he was carried by a yak over the mountains in their family, and they eventually were taken in by the Nepalese people in a refugee settlement in Pokhara, where his family still live. His mother's still there. His 95-year-old mother's still there, and his brothers and sisters are still in that village in Pokhara. So Rinpoche knows it very well, and Rinpoche did all his traditional training there. Came to the West as a young man with a flair for English and languages, and with all that training and experience, and has for the last 25 years, more than 25 years, been dedicating to establishing, offering, Buddhist philosophy and teachings and meditation, which has been very well received and needed. And so these tonight Rinpoche is going to be talking on healing relationships, which is always relevant, always timely. And so with that, I'd like to once again welcome you all. Enjoy this. I'm sure you'll find it very engaging, very relevant, and take something from it. And at the end of the talk, we'll be offering tea and coffee out there. If you're welcome to stay behind if you wish to have a chat. And so with that, I'd like to welcome you all, and thanks, Rinpoche.
Thank you very much, Jampal. Good evening, everyone, for coming here tonight and realizing the importance of healing relationships, both with oneself and with those around us, that we tend to not realize how ignoring those as if a fault of others actually goes to cause the breakdown of relationships even further, and to the extent of not valuing one's own existence each day. Just to put relevance to the natural disasters in Nepal, is probably a reminder of self-made disasters that people are not taking stock of. And when the disaster like that is caused by elements or things outside, we always call them natural disasters. When we ourselves become the center of creating problems, we also like to think, other people did this to me. And we never say self-created disasters. So, but if disasters are created by oneself, it's usually done so unconsciously. If any correction of mistakes were to be considered, they should be done consciously. And so tonight's talk is about how to become conscious in making, revisiting some of our situations with people and ourselves and events and our attitudes about them, how unsettling they have been so long, and how possibly could we allow this to linger amidst us, and therefore find a way to change that. Healing relationship suggests that relationships are less than harmonious or adequate or respectful. If relationships are perfect, of course, they do not need healing. And if they are perfect, it's only for a while. And it's usually when relationships are good, it's a result of healed relationships. There are no ready-made, primordially good relationships. Maybe space is healed relationship always. But anything else in the space is always not quite settling well in this vast, infinite space. All the factors are not quite elementally kind to each other. So we have to see firstly what is a hurt relationship. There is mostly this is a topic is about emotionally how to become cognitive, take stock of one's own self-caused hurts, and that we have taken the liberty to externalize as our hurt is caused by things or people or events. And then thinking as if we are some kind of victim of unfortunate circumstances, and therefore that our relationship that is bad is not our cause, but it is caused by somebody else. In so doing, then the whatever difficulty there was, is allowed to linger and continue and thread furthermore list of complaints. Healing relationship is trying to put a stop to that incessant resentment and anger and the guilt and not being kind to anyone. Healing relationship is about stop the unforgiving attitudes, believing the wrong stories that we have told ourselves too many times, and try to rescue the good in the other by disassociating the bad that we have imputed upon them, so that we too might have some good in us that is left. Because otherwise more we impute and blame others, that much times we ourselves get tattered. So this unforgiving, resentful, negative, self-loathing and angry of others and refusing to express gratitude, have this resistance that we refuse to know that they are loved objects and they still may love us. We still wish to reconnect with them and repair those relationships. We need to have this longing to reconnect the lost friendship that is largely caused by childish reactions of our own, and maybe also coupled with theirs. And if two, it takes two to hurt, it definitely takes two to heal. Of the two, who will start healing? Question is, when of the two who start hurting, the other does. If one start hurting, the second doesn't hesitate to retaliate, and so there is very easily encouraged to join in the mutual harming. Why could not one invent to heal, and why is there the lack of follow-up? Because if one of the two is not starting to heal or deciding to be kind and deciding to forgive, then how could the other be inspired? So there is mutual resistance. So cause of the hurt is these four: resistance, resentment, and rebellion, and therefore almost like a revenge-seeking mind. This continues to stay. So healed relationship is how to reverse these four. Firstly, resistance, to look at the past or events with the unwaxed eyes. One needs to clean the eyes to look at the thing without the waxed, without the conjunctivitis, without this tainted story that we've been believing ourselves too much, that we are a bit of a victim, that they are a bit of a bully, and we continue to believe in that, and then we are resisting that it might be, we are not willing to look into the alternative stories. So basically we want to open our eyes. We don't want to be shut down by this yellow stuff. This, particularly if you have long, eyelashes, it hurts. We have to trim the eyelashes and the yellow stuff and try to open the eyes because it hurts to stay closed. It might be worth try to experience the hurt, but open. One is close-minded. This resistance, just refusing to love, refusing to be kind to either of the two, and almost like hold the vigil for aggression. I'm going to hate. That's it. Almost like one has some kind of commitment to hate. As if one has some kind of a commitment and something to be rewarded. Rewarded in the long term, that if so long as though you keep this hatred going, you'll be rewarded. We have this false hope as we be rewarded by keeping this anger going on. Unconsciously, of course. We call this brooding. So with this resistance to open up, or resistance to forgive and love and move on, because when one is not forgiving, one is not moving, one is oscillating, one is just stuck in the same whirlpool of wrong thinkings. All the wrong thoughts just create a whirlpool and sucks us into that, and that we are not able to surface in the world that is otherwise ready to embrace us, open, give us everything that it has to offer. We don't see them. We don't appreciate nothing because we are so stuck in that state of negative sort of cocoon. We are lost and stuck in that resistant to change. Healing relationship is about resolve to change. Resolve to change the way one thinks about it, what one thought about the events, what one thought somebody did to us or didn't do us. We resolve to change that. We're doubting the veracity of the story that we told and believed, and usefulness of it. Benefit of doubt is what you are giving rise to when you're developing the yearning to heal. So instead of resistance, you have to develop or to remedy these four problems of resistance, resentment, and rebellion, and revenge-seeking mind. One needs to cultivate what we call in Buddhism 4 powers. These 4 things are debilitating you. These things are killing you from within. Not only emotionally, not only intellectually, but physiologically. Your digestive system, your immune system, your ability to sleep well, your ability to enjoy life, simple things are all interrupted by this poisonous mind that is coagulating, that is clogging one's whole, plumbing system. When people have plumbing problems, they have to call the person straight away. Don't you think there's this kind of urgency? The clogging system. As you can't live blocked toilet, if it's blocked toilet, you can't live in this house for another 4 hours or whatever. But our internal immune, our arteries and nervous system are blocked and clogged by toxic negative thoughts and emotions that are destroying the very good reconstitution that our elements should otherwise enjoy, and enjoy health and joy and happiness and all those things that we try so hard to provide physically as a place to live, or whether the house is north facing or whatever. We try so hard, but yet inside we're just so unwindowed. There's no window. Everything's closed. Everything is closed. We try to have so many windows. I couldn't believe when I came to the West first. There's just windows everywhere. Windows everywhere. And they're losing all the heat from there, And then they realize, oh gosh, and then they have to insulate it. Then they think they need to do double glazing. So it's so close, So internally, bad thoughts such as anger and resentment and lack of gratitude and hurt and then resenting them, listing their wrongs or alleged wrongs that we believe in, and believing not only once but twice, many times, talk to friends, make them believe, and so on. All these things are just sweeping the thing up, clogging the thing up, You know. I went to a factory in Nepal only a couple of weeks, 1 week before a thing happened in Nepal, where my cousin has a factory and he made these prefab buildings, And the thing that he insulates is all just stuff that he's mixed many things and become very thick. There's otherwise two very thin boards, but when he fill the thing in, then it just becomes insulated. We become insulated from knowing the facts. We're so much believing in our wrong convictions that we don't realize most of the pain and sufferings are caused interdependently, not independently by them or what they said or what they did. It's a lot more factors than that is involved. Yet we're led to believe there is only one and only thing that did this to me, and we're believing. You see? And so easy to believe, and if you told most people who support you, they believe too. They're just as waxed. So there's hardly any informed people who will tell, no, this is wrong. This is not correct. All the hurt feelings largely comes from these disempowering negativities, as I listed before. So in Buddhism, we need to develop power, how to overcome these debilitating factors, what we call 4 powers. So I'm going to talk about the 4 powers, because learning to forgive is owning your problem and understanding the cause of it, and learning to unthread the causes of it. If you don't know the cause of it, you don't know whether the problem is actually what you said it is. If you don't know the cause, if you know the cause of the problem, why is the problem still lingering? You see, it doesn't show the problem has been detected. If you have discovered what's the problem, when the plumbing doctor comes, he straight away makes your toilet flushes. Because you have to just clean the whole stuff, He has to find out where the wrong is, whether it's a loose, nut or bolt, or whether there's some tree growing. Amazing, tree grows there. Some kind of roots go into your plumbing. You have no idea the anger and resentment could be very tough roots to recognize that they are causing the blockages. So if we can uncause, it's only if we know the correct cause. If you don't know the correct cause, everything you try to do is not uncausing the problem. It is escalating the problem. If the problem hasn't solved, that means the thing you thought was the cause is not recognized, not apprehended. And so actual problem is left unresolved. It's even escalating. So therefore we need to have the power of reliance. This power of reliance is knowledge. In Buddhism, we call the Buddha is the one who knows the facts. It's we too are entitled to know the fact. So therefore, what we call the cause of the problem. True cause of the problem. We call it true cause, because a lot of false cause of the problem. A lot of misidentified causes and identified as the correct causes. So when you apprehend wrong causes as correct causes, however many times you do the apprehending, they are misapprehending. So they do not uncause the problem, but escalate the problem. So they take actions. They take actions to solve the problem, only to escalate it more. They react and overreact. They actually think that someone did this wrong to oneself. One is not hesitating to do the double of that to the other. has to uncause the problem. How could uncause that problem? It would double the problem. Whether it's violence or aggression or litigations or whatever what you do, they're only going to cause furthermore problem, but yet we are not aware of that. So this kind of useless, mutually destructive activity is what is debilitating, is what is making us sick, feel unwell, unhappy, sad, worthless, and unable to connect, and not able to enjoy things, and therefore feel you have no capacity to be kind to yourself, let alone others. So, therefore, we need to develop the first power of reliance. And in the traditional Buddhist practice, there are prescribed form of meditation, and that is you need to seek that particular power, and therefore learn to remedy that. But here, for the sake of tonight, we can talk about the power reliance could be knowledge, the correct knowledge. Knowledge is so powerful if it is correct. Knowledge is so disempowering when it is incorrect. When you got the wrong knowledge, you just use it as if correct, but actually it's got the totally opposite effect. So people have used lots of reactions, a lot of punitive measures. They try to revenge others. They try to prove the other is wrong. They try to rally all the friends and relatives and lawyers and barristers to prove the other is wrong. But still, they might think in the courtroom they are right, but their misery hasn't dwindled. Misery hasn't decreased, but has actually increased. So that shows they are relying on incorrect knowledge. So what I call destructive emotions. Destructive emotions. So we need to resort to intelligent emotions. Intelligent, holistic, and liberating emotional qualities. And this power we are referring to, love, we can call it loving kindness, because practicing healing is about starting to be kind to each other. Yeah. Just seeing how mutually both are harming and hurting, and how two people harming each other and then harms half a dozen of theirs as well, and how it ripples through the whole community, and how many people are sad, hurt, and they have everything, but they don't have happiness. They don't have peace. They don't have love. They don't want to love. They decide to hate. And they continue to do that. And that is corrosive. That is destructive, they call it. Destructive. We have health insurance. It's written, health insurance. We bought it, we paid, it's put in the drawer there. But deep down, we are just doing the corrosive thing. So it's a waste of money. Buying health insurance on the other side, and in the meantime, one is brooding anger and hatred and not wanting to love, not wanting to forgive. Power of reliance is where you decide to forgive, decide to let go, decide to make peace, decide to count blessings, however small they are, rather than list mistakes. It's just how life is very precious, only if we live peacefully, only if we live mindfully and compassionately. And so decide to create a boundary. Try to create a boundary. What kind of thoughts and emotions we will rely on? What kind of things we will abstain. We can put aside. If you really wanted to go back, you can always go back. Anger is really willing to cooperate you. He is waiting. He's 24 hours waiting. He is very reliable. He is very powerful. He'll make you do everything right. He'll make you to close your eyes, open your mouth, tighten your fists, jump. To make peace, it's opposite. So hesitant. They say, give peace a chance. They don't say, give anger a chance. He's having too many a chance. That's the problem. That's what the hurt is still hating. Still having this ill will over that miserable issue. And still amplifying that over so much as that's the biggest thing. And one is believing that. And thinking that one is a bit of a victim and they are the perpetrators and totally believing that. But yet that belief has really served no purpose. It's the problem itself is lingering. It has not diminished. If you have found the correct knowledge, it will, what the power of knowledge, you see, what we call power of reliance. You got to rely on a good vehicle that doesn't break down every few miles. Anger is that one. Anger is that. Anger and resentment and blaming and guilt and self-loathing are these unreliable, destructive emotions. So you have to develop power reliance, decide to love. Yeah. I have the 20 things that are listed here. How to resolve, how to develop power of reliance. Be grateful, Look at the things that you can be grateful to, Because when you're angry, you don't think that. When you're doing the corrosive, destructive things, you're not thinking anything grateful the people have done to you. You want to forget all the good they did. It's just amplifying the opposite. When you're grateful, you are powerful enough to put this ungrateful mind to rest. Yeah, power of reliance. And choose friends wisely. Yeah, you're talking to the wrong friends. They're supporting your little ego, and they think they are your best friend. But talk to people who are non-aligned, who are not biased to your sufferings. Talk to someone who really has no, who really wish you to be happy, rather than you wish to be right. They want you to be right, and they want to support you being right. They don't want you to be well. So choose friends who can show you the ways how to be well, not trying to be right always. Choosing friends. Usually when people are not unforgiving, they are actually talking to the bad friends. So try to talk to somebody, Meditation is a good friend to talk to. Buddha, teachings of the Buddha is a really good friend to choose to. He's not biased. He's not biased against you or biased against the other. He's going to look for beneficial to both parties. Such friends you should choose. Cultivate self-compassion. Just have compassion to yourself. How you want to suffer like this anymore, like last 2 months or last 2 years? You say, no, please put an end to this. I just can't. I don't know how to put an end. Please help me. Yes. Where is this suffering comes from? Because we are not practicing self-compassion. We're believing that we are a victim of somebody else. We don't realize how our own self-loathing and believing this wrong conviction is actually hurting us even more. So develop self-compassion. Keep learning. Always learn some ways of dealing with this issue. Learn something new to resolve the problem. Don't use the tools that hasn't worked before. So find new ways. Try to be the problem solver rather than the problem pointer. Because one who is unforgiving is always pointing. My misery is caused by him. Oh, I was done like that, by them. He's always, he sees the problem, but he's not got any right to solve the problem. So, be a problem solver, If you think if you know the problem and its causes, then uncause the problem. See? This is power of reliance. Have some responsibility. Yeah? Do what is beneficial. Do what is beneficial. See whether what one has been believing or doing or talking or this has been useful or not. If it hasn't been useful, even if it's your ideas, drop them. They say, if the front most beautiful teeth is moving and causing more pain, pull it out. Even the tooth in your mouth must be thrown out if it's using no beneficial. It's no benefit. It's more pain. And hire the dentist to move it. It's a bit painful, but actually relieved. It may look a bit awful because there's a bit of a hole there, but still, it's quite a relief to have not that false thing there, pretending it's good, but it's causing more pain. Now at least you haven't got a tooth, it's good. Yeah. Toothless person wouldn't bite no one. So, see, that's a... See, a lot of anger. That's the tooth of anger. We should remove them. We should remove them. What do you use? What is beneficial? If it's beneficial, keep it. If it's not beneficial, take it out, even if it's your tooth. So some people really think it's my idea, my view. They think they've got to be kept. They don't realize how one's own pet views are cause of sufferings. One should learn to get rid of those things. Then you really power reliance. Live in the present. Because when people are not healing, they're in the past. They're always going in the past. They're always recasting the past, regurgitating the past, amplifying and playing back those old VCD machines. Always playing back. And these days, no machine will play, of course. That's a very good one. I like that. So, yeah, don't play. Have a modern mind that doesn't play past stories. You can say, no, I don't play that. You have to go to you have to go to 10 years before somewhere you have that kind of mind, ungrown mind, childish mind. You've got to play. I haven't got that mind. That was when I was very selfish. That was when I was very stupid. Those are the photos, those are the stories I told myself, those are the ones I taped. You don't want to play it because if you feel shameful to show to anybody. Yes. See, there's kind of a dignity in oneself. Not to go to the past. How do you not go to the past? You don't talk the language of a victim. You don't talk the language of revenge and anger. You talk not like those. Why? You have power of reliance to put an end. Not just talking, but thinking, not thinking. You don't think like that anymore. You don't dream those things anymore. You don't believe those things anymore. Those are the times when you were really fully waxed. Both eyes, and sometimes even the nose are blocked. Yeah. Now laugh. Laugh often at the past. Laugh at the past. Ha ha. Gosh, I waste so much time. Can you believe this? It's absurd. I didn't grow at all. But yet, my biology has aged, my intellect and my heart has just completely shrunken. This is ridiculous. Yeah? Yeah, have a daring ability to laugh at the past and decide not to be there. Can you understand? You got to be able to laugh at your past and then decide not to tell that story and talk that anymore. And then you really relying on something useful to change. Power of reliance, yeah. This is all internal, inner. You're reconstituting internally. You're developing constructive, emotional, very powerful, liberative art of clear thinking. Yeah, this is power of reliance. You're now actually using the power of your mind. Your mind is light. Your mind is good. Your mind has a capacity, same as the Buddha, same as God. I mean, what is God if he hasn't got a kind mind? You know, even God is nothing really unless he teaches us how to be kind and forgiving. And he has shown how to practice forgiveness and tolerance. It's possible. We have that light sitting there, waiting to be kindled. The lamp which has got the wick and the fuel, everything, but until now the light lamps it does not get kindled. So this is the power of reliance you're talking about. You should turn towards the light and not go towards darkness. And decide to think that enough is enough. And decide a time. They call timeline. Yeah? 8th of May, Friday evening in Griffith Community Center. 8 o'clock, actually. 8 o'clock. Wonderful. Yeah. 8 p.m. on 8th of May. 8 has a very special meaning, especially in Eastern culture. 8 is a very auspicious culture. Auspicious. You should try to make some connections, Try to create all this causes, condition, has an auspicious coincidence. And mark the time that from here onwards, I'm going to get up, I'm going to wake up, turn to light. I'm going to tell them how I love them. I'm sorry for my stupidity. I forgive whatever they may have contributed to it. Yeah? Yeah? This is what we need to be heeding tonight too. Yeah? Heedfully listening and respectfully promising to do it. Yeah? Promising to do it. And practice forgiveness. That's right. And what are you promising? To practice forgiveness. Because it's exact opposite to unforgiving mind. To heal means you got to make it recover. When you look at the body, sometimes injured, the skin, the body is very self-healing. Amazing, it works so hard to heal itself, If we put a little ointment, we can't clean it, we do the right things, it says, thank you. I'm actually working very hard too, If you really look at it, the skin, the body itself is healing. Body itself got a lot of internal healing power. Now, we all have that healing power. But we got to turn and decide intently and attentively to heal, yeah? This is power of reliance I'm talking about, that you got to rely. You got to rely in yourself. You got to really pay heed to it. And you wouldn't be here tonight if you haven't got the intent. We got intents, but sometimes the intention is left with no action. That this is action. This is action. You're taking an action. I'm going to listen to the talk on how to heal relationships, and I'm going to do a few things, and starting with tonight, Power of reliance. Yeah, forgive. Firstly, practice forgive yourself. Yeah? Practice forgiveness yourself. So you've got to be your own. You've got to be in your own kind circles. Don't be this waiting for somebody else's kindness, particularly the Lord or God or Buddha. Buddha said, forget it, I wouldn't come to you. Buddha does not show kindness to those who doesn't practice kindness to themselves. You see? Buddha simply show the way, it said. But we got to follow the way torch that it is shining and showing where to go, where to avoid. So it's not the other can do it. The Buddha can't do it. And I don't know how God can do it because I haven't seen him do very much. If he does, he just he wish people did it. He wish people did it, but he realizes that people are so dumb. He wish he could make them wake up, And then there are some messengers, teachings maybe, the books, gospels. These things are just making people to turn towards the light, Unless we decide to believe in God and mercy and decide to do that, even God have no power. It's us who need to decide to forgive and let go. And then, you can see the power of reliance. Then you are able to say thank you. Then you can reclaim the lost memory of kindness of the people you previously were fighting with. Then you reclaim all the good they have contributed that previously was forgotten in the debris of blaming. Now you remove all that. Then you recollect all the things. Everything and what you have and what you are gift of others. And then your goodness will empower you to practice grace. Gratitude really means being graceful. Have the grace to see the good that people have contributed to. When you start seeing good in others, your good is already flourishing. It's only when our own good is minimum, then we don't see the good in others. So when we start practicing the above, then we are opening, basically. We are opening, and then we are bringing the light in. Or at least we are removing the dark forces that appears to be obscuring our light. So enlightening, really, power of what we call reliance. And around this time, you develop the second power, the power of regret. Then you say, look, I have lost years or months brooding and believing these ideas. You have a now positive regret. Until then, there's guilt, which is negative regret. Until then, there's a lot of guilt and resentment. Now, this second power of regret is dealing with the debilitating effect of resentment. Now, if instead of resentment, you have this power of regret. This regret means what was lost in time or energy or resources or friendship, whatever, but you can rescue it from being ignored or neglected from here onwards. Life is too short to disown one's mother or father or someone over that issue. You can't have a second mother. You can't have a second father. You can think like you have. Some people are blessed with a stepfather as just as kind, or a stepmother who's even more kinder than the biological mother. I'm not saying such things. What I'm saying is that you cannot still forget the first biological mother's sacrifice and love and kindness and all that. So, and then one feels, how can I could possibly, allow my anger and selfishness to create this huge obstacle between me and my only kind, loving mother. And then you start developing regret, the time and the energy that is lost in this unforgiving, resentful period that one has spent. And then one is developing, what you call creating deeper connection then you're reconnecting with your parents or with people who you want to heal the relationship, that your connection is much deeper than the few things that really over which you were just making too much noise about. And so you can see the deep connection, particularly blood relations. You really then develop reconnect with them, and then you realize everything and anything that we have and we own and we know are directly contributed and given to us by them. And one just feel like before I die, I want to repay their kindness, repay their kindness without further delay. You see? Now, this is called power of resolution. Power of resolution. Now you know exactly what to do. Now you have power of resolution. Previously, there's a rebellious mind. There's always arguing, criticizing, quarreling, being mean, and always raising the old stuff again. Never a moment of real respect and agreement and loving kindness and tolerance towards them. Now, when you have power resolution, that's exactly what you've decided to do. When we say turn towards light, is you actually doing just that. You have turned to light because you feel now you're fitter to do those things. Before there was nothing. There was so inaptness in being patient or speaking courteously. Just we don't know the language. We don't have the terminology. But there's some kind of a curse which is lifted. Curse is lifted when you have developed power of resolution. You got to go somewhere, like here, and make a resolution here tonight. Yeah? Make a resolution. By the goodness of us all coming here tonight, with everybody interested in healing relationship, quite a lot of are not just coming for themselves. They are doing it so that their own, other family members who are suffering, they may be healed, they may be freed. And they know some of the people they wanted to influence others as well. So a lot of people have come here. A lot of people have come for higher purposes, and therefore develop resolution. I'll give us an opportunity to do that when I do a short affirmation in prayer, and during that you can bring yourself to develop what I call power of resolution. Make a resolve. Treat this as 31st December. Make a resolution. Not New Year resolution, new life resolution. Okay? Because if you heal the relationship, your life shall be new. It will be new and fresh and definitely renewed. It's good to renew your registration. Even if it's 3 days late, that's okay. But don't delay anymore. It's really, I don't recommend to delay anymore. Delaying forgiveness, delaying reconnectedness, delaying saying I'm sorry, delaying saying thank you very much. I love you. What can I do? Is there anything I can do? It's a very good thing to say, It's amazing. It can healing. It could be a very healing thing to say, We have been resisting. Don't want to say that. Don't want to even go near them. So many gadgets of connections, so many gadgets of talking, listening, hearing, but nothing talking like that. Sending nasty messages instead. It's terrible. This is no use of technology. It's abuse of technology. Use the technologies. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry. I went to the store with this Tibetan fella, in this community hall. He really woke me up. Because I was listening to my heart, and I decided to call you. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, my dad, or whoever. Really. A guy told me that when he heard this talk some years ago up north, he said he straight away rang his mother. It completely changed his life. Yeah. Of course, everybody got someone who maybe you just someone not you are angry at, but at least tell somebody, ring somebody, look, tonight onwards, I'm going to really make a new road to heal this with dad or mom or whatever. Tell the brother, he'd be delighted. Yeah? Just like that. Resolution, Power resolution is taking steps, small steps, That's all take small steps. And then if you say you're going to do that, then you can see you have healed because you are not saying bad things about her anymore. You don't say any harsh words about her anymore because you have decided to love and be grateful to all her valid contributions. Now you begin to see them with great clarity and consciousness, and therefore you don't speak the words as a hurt person. You don't speak as an angry person. Yeah? You speak as a person who has forgotten all of that. Yeah. You have the power of resolution? Yeah. Resolution has to be passed. Yeah? It's only one member in the parliament, You don't have these difficult opponents there anymore. It's your own parliament. You've got to pass the resolution. You don't have all these oppositions you've got to listen to. I'm doing this analogy in Canberra because it's all about parliament here. And keep your agreement to yourself. Power of resolution. Keep your agreement. Honor them. Make small promises and just decide to honor them. Just a little bit, Really. Even my mom, was a little bit angry and does her normal thing, But I will not retaliate her anymore. Because she's my kind mother. She's a little bit agitated. She got her own issues. I'm not going to reply to her in the way I used to. See? It's not just the past hurt you are healing, but prevent future damages. That's a healing relationship. Some people you can see they love each other. The other person really harsh, but the other person is so quiet and they're just so kind and not returning, not saying anything, not retaliating. That's a heal. That's a really love is there. Now the person is doing real loving. That's a real love, And love isn't that both say, I love you, and the other says, I love you. It's not really love. That's just a short-lived emotional game. But the other person is a little bit crook and angry and a little bit abrasive for whatever upset him. But the other one is rock solid, Even if they walk away from your life, but still you haven't reduced your kindness and love or support to them. That's healing. Healing relation doesn't mean you should be keeping everybody and huddling up each other always. You might part your ways. Yeah. You're much better off letting go each other and not being interference to each other. That is healing relation. Healing relation doesn't mean you can't be parted anymore at all. That's not healing relation. That's a really dangerous one. That's going to explode very quickly. That's totally dependent, over-dependent on each other is not healing relationship. That even though you might part your different ways, but still there's no animosity. You have profound gratitude for the time that you did spend doing things together, but you're really happy what they're doing, whatever they're doing. That you are no longer interfering in theirs. That is healing relationship. This is not a talk how to hold each other at all costs and not let them go and make all kind of bargains so that you can win them back. That's not healing relationship. That's desperate relationship. or relationship meant to break, but doesn't have to be cause of enmity and resentment. If your heart has become whole, you resolve to love, to make them happy by letting them do what they want to do. Okay, and then their happiness is prospered. Their happiness will foster because you're not interfering theirs. And maybe you have to go different ways. Yeah, that's much better. Particularly where there are two heads. It's very difficult to make one head happy. Try to make two heads happy by doing the same thing is pretty bad recipe. So it's good to be healthy, to be doing different things, still respect each other and love, and not becoming subordinated by each other. Everything ends, everything changes. So it's not a big catastrophe to end the relationship, not having the same thing. Maybe we can only love each other better than we don't have to possess each other. When we don't have to subordinate each other. Maybe that's a real healing relationship. And to be able to do all the above, you should meditate. Power of resolution. Yeah? Meditate means become present. Doesn't mean close your eyes and then just try to think everything is too much and then try to run away. Some people think that's meditation. Meditation means being present. Yeah? If you're present, your mind is very luminously clear and cognizant and cognitively aware of what your thoughts are. Whether you're thinking of the past things you're bringing back, or you're just simply... When you're present, how do you know that you're meditating? You're present is you are amazingly grateful. The abundance of things, that everything is there for you to relish and enjoy. From the nature, from people, from things, all that is there. The person who's healed relationship with others feels very well. You experience well-being. You feel good. Everything you have is so really good. It's even better those things you don't have. I'm glad that you don't have those things. It's amazing, when a person who's healed is really happy. They're liberated from sufferings because they're happy that they don't have certain things. They're not miserable that what they don't have. You see? If they have something, they say, oh, I'm so happy. I can keep this for a while, but I'm going to let this go to someone very quickly. Very good. So you're not going to keep anything in your hand very long. That's usually the cause of misery. If you have good, pass it on to others. It's more joy in giving the good to others, whether it's knowledge or skills or habits or whatever, You can't have ownership. These things are good to pass on. Yeah? Focus on what you are doing. If you're healing relationship, focus on what you are doing, what you're thinking, what you're about to say. Not focus on what people said or you believe what people did to you or whatever. Don't even talk about it. Don't even have conversation about what you think people did. Who knows who did what? When you hardly know what you're doing. Just being present means just be aware what you are consciously able to do that is good. rather than minding what people did to you, or then your hurt or your pain was caused by this and that sort of thing. And be optimistic that things will change. It will never be the same anymore, because it never is. It never is the same. Everything's changing. Yeah. So you try to, this power of reliance, power of regret, now power of resolution. Then this fourth one is power of restoration. Your dignity, your goodness, your self-worth, your respect is now restored. You feel fit to be walking on the back of the Mother Earth. She doesn't mind touching your big toes. She doesn't mind putting your whole feet. She doesn't mind putting your whole weight of the body. How about that? You feel really fit to be alive and be grateful that what you can do to serve others. Then you feel be useful. When you have power of restoration, there is no sense of doing anything harmful to others, but what can I do that my purpose of being alive is justified? Well, so then you become very mindful. A person who's healed, do not dwell on mistakes of anyone. They are all mistakes. They are not mistakes. Big difference. Mistakes. We are good at that. We missed quite a few. They're not intentional mistakes. They just missed the point. They lapse a bit. They didn't intend it to be poor thing. Come on, forgive them. They didn't really intend to say that to you or do that to you. It's just mistakes. You see? You look at, if you're a student of language, you will find why the word miss and take, is made up of. Mistakes. You want to have the correct takes, isn't it? Good takes. But mistakes, okay? Yeah, pardon. Then it's very easy to pardon. You missed the turn, I mean, you don't want to slap yourself for that. You say, okay, I'll turn around. Like that. Everything is just a mistake and never consciously or intentionally done it. Just believe in that. It's really a lot of goodness. Then you don't think somebody has harmed me deliberately, intentionally. You don't have this kind of fundamentalist view of the harm that is caused. Then when you have the power of restoration, then you can love unconditionally. Even if they make silly blunders and so on, but still, that doesn't cancel out your fitness for you to love them. You still want them to be happy. You still don't want them to suffer. And so love them meaning you speak kindly. And then you start changing yourself as a person who's restored. Then you give things to them. Then you spend more time to do things for them. And you have more joy doing things for them than doing for yourself or neediness wanting them to do for you. See, healed person is not needy and greedy. Healed person is very generous and as soon as he does something for others, he's doubly happy. He's not needing someone else to do that for him when he's healed. Why? He's experienced the power of restoration. Completely restored. And then, as a result of that, you will not give up this recipe. You don't give up. You don't think everything is some kind of a curse, and you know how it can be lifted. You don't give up. No matter what it is, it's another one of those unconscious things people do to each other. They didn't do it deliberately. They did it only unconsciously. And then you have the power to forgive, and then you understand them. Yeah? And do your best. Always try to do your best, thoughtfully. And do your best means it may look bad, not so good to others, but think it is your best, Don't try to get the approval of everybody. Just at least get your approval. You're first person, aren't you? At least give first person a first chance. And if you can't convince yourself you did your best, how can you convince the second person? Isn't it? He's only second, depending what the first person speaks like. He's very confident. It might convince the second. If you can't even convince, you try your best. Oh, I don't think I did very well, don't you think? And then checking. You see, very insecure. You see, a person who's healed doesn't behave like that. They've got to believe that in these worst scenarios, I did my best. They say, try to make the best out of worse situations. You see? What is good and best it's only in very awkward situations what could you pull yourself through to do things, It's all dependent. There is no ultimately something is best. It's only relative to something. In comparison to not forgiving or not healing, it's pretty good you're doing this now. So you should actually try your best. And you got to believe that you did that, and you got to try that as well. Do your best. And most importantly, by the way, healing relationship is not about seeking approval of others. It's about taking care of yourself. If you take care of yourself, then it naturally takes care of those around you. They're really worried that you're not even looking after yourself. If you practice, that's what lots of people, meditation looks like very selfish thing you're always doing for yourself. First, we got to look after ourselves. There's nothing wrong about it. Even in the most safety kind of precautions, they say, first put your seatbelt, and then the infant, or then the person next to. It's illogical. What do you think? First put your seatbelt, and then the infant, and then this person. First make sure to look after yourself. It's a very, very basic Buddhism. It's not a wrong thing to look after yourself, And when you are taking care of yourself, then you have something to give to others, because others need just like you did to yourself, But what you didn't provide to yourself, you couldn't provide to the others. It's exactly why we feel so deprived, is because we haven't even looked after ourselves very well. So Dharma, or the teachings of the Buddha, is to allow people to become conscious how to change themselves. So these points that I went through are actually what constitute the four powers. Once the relationship, when we say healing relationship is here, most people might think it's healing relationship with other people, but first we must heal relationship with ourselves, First person relationship, ourselves. We should firstly forgive ourselves, understand and listen and be kind to ourselves, not be the critic, not be the self-critic that we often become. Particularly in a modern individualistic society, there's so much pressure that you've got to be perfect, that you've got to be right. And we put so much pressure that we don't realize that our goodness is only relative to those around us. And so we've got to be gentle to ourselves, Be kind towards ourselves. And then when we're kind to ourselves, then we can see the others just as needing kindness just as we did. They're just like us, poor thing. just happen to be not wearing our head. If we put our head on them, it looks like they also deserve the kindness. It's only the different skin color. That's the problem. We just remove the first layer of skin, we all look same. Amazing. The different identity is skin deep, So therefore, don't distinguish the other being different than us. When we start practicing forgiveness to ourselves and self-kindness to ourselves, then we see the others are just as equally needing that to be understood. If we can empower them to do that, that's the Dharma, is one lamp lighting the other. When you start practicing these to yourself, then naturally we will be conversant to talk, to convince to others to do the same. And that clarifies their mind. And they also have now intellectual capacity to think rationally and then not go to the dark forces of the past, but try to turn towards light. Then they become a lot more, optimistic towards themselves, and they're starting to relate everything. Everyone looks as good as we think we are. But we are very critical of ourselves. We become very, very neurotic in what people think of me, very insecure. So once healing relationship of oneself is so important, and it's not talking about self-indulgence. It's very different here. There's no self to indulge in Buddhism, so there's not a really big problem there. so we just have to learn to make peace with ourselves, really. And when we make peace with ourselves, our perception of mother or father or friends or others are just they're all suffering because we are suffering, not because they're wrong. When we start making good progress, then they're happy for us. They're happy for us. They were wishing, they were hoping you did that, and they all want you for that. And they don't want you to suffer even more. If they still want you to take to the doctors or specialists or do this, they want you to become happy. But most of the time, they're only pointing to things they know are only kind of help there is. And most of them don't know these are real helps, So they point to things, whatever there is in yellow pages or something, No, not many people is able to recognize the correct doctrine, correct way of thinking, intelligent doctrine, compassionate, universally compassionate, very, very forgiving teachings of all the great spiritual or civil traditions of the world. They're all same. It's all about practicing kindness to each other. The other day my son said, he says, if everybody practiced kindness, you don't need a religion. And that's really true. That's right. That's right. That's what his Holiness Dalai Lama says, my religion is kindness. Kindness, yeah? And forgiveness and healing is about how to be learned to kind to each other. And first with oneself. And then sort of learning to completely unveil that there is a really longing person in us who wish to reconnect and forgive each other. But we got to not lose any more time, but resolve to say, on the Friday the 8th of May, 2015, in Griffith Community Center, at 8:30, we made this resolution. And I heard the teaching, I heard the talk, and few points I made a really little promise to myself, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it one person, and slowly it will multiply. Be optimistic. So I'm going to say a really short prayer, invoke this wisdom in your mind, clarity in your heart, softness and spaciousness into your overall life, that you actually make space for this to occur, which you already have. As I do this prayer, of course, we also think of the others who are warring and who are not making peace with themselves or to others. May they too be able to meet with such conversant clarity, mind filled with compassion and vision for peace, and not stay in the darkness. So I say we'll share a short prayer, and during that you will make your own little resolutions for you, not just for yourself, for others. Be altruistic for that, because healing relationship, tonight you have come here, everybody has someone in their life or family with which they really couldn't make peace with themselves. It's just not on to continue like that. We really need to turn the chapter. And tonight, the goodness of everybody being here, we can offer these prayers. And prayer is about more in action. In Buddhism, we don't really pray to someone, but really we pray to do it. Pray to do it. And you have come here to do something here. And you did listen a lot, If you listen a lot, then you've got to resolve few things. How do I know that if I'm healing myself with someone about that, and how do I say that I'm healed? I got to have the power of restoration, that I actually have the dignity, lift my head up and look with kindness, and don't look with the same wax eyes or wrong views, bad memories we have of them, but look at them as some kind of sleep from which we have woken. We're no longer dreaming in them. Because when you wake up from the sleep, then you don't dream something. When we are falling asleep to the angry episodes or bad experiences, we're constantly dreaming just that, caused by that sleep. So need to wake up. And with that, a couple of minutes, you stay in this clear, resolved state of mind, and then we will have a few minutes of question, if I can answer them, or discussions, or little comments on the topic. We'll do that afterwards. Lama Thank you. So we have a little bit of time to take a little bit of conversation, if you have. Yeah.
I was wondering, you talk a lot about what we can do and how we can heal ourselves first. What do you suggest if the person that you're having difficulty with won't take the same steps? Because they're very hesitant and very emotionally abusive, and they won't try to do that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's important. If we are still distracted by this concern, what the other is not doing, that's the very thing that we need to first really think that we have to first mind ability to stay very focused on doing inner work within ourselves, not seeing the other and what they're doing as a cause of disability within us, but rather they're as in the same boat as we used to be. So try to use them as objects of compassion and forgiveness rather than the objects of aversion and anger. So that is what we were talking about, the power, where there is from resistance need to change the power of reliance. So when you're relying on what work you're doing, you know that eventually mutual karma of the us and them is dependent on what one does to the other. Now, if the other is really abusive and negative, and when we are just as vulnerable, not doing anything to remedy that, then we become a little bit dragged by them. And now, if we are trying to do the opposite, which is not allowing them to drag, but do something out of kindness, compassion towards them, so at least we are able to minimize that passive aggression that we practice. Previously, maybe the other one is practicing active aggression, and we have practiced passively, same thing. So passive aggression actually harms us more than the active aggression that we think is they are practicing. So the forgiveness and when we're trying to do the work, we need to have this confidence that this will have the counter effect to them, because you have to have the intention to do that. You have to intention, you're not doing this just for myself. Although you're doing work with self, but you believe that it will actually help them and you want it to help them. Maybe you are seeking immediate approval or changes in them, but that is not happening. Yeah, so they might take even more kind of a reaction because we are being so patient and calm and kind. They might think, "Oh, you're trying to do this Buddhist thing on me, do you?" So they might even sort of take even more sort of a reaction that warrants even more compassion and wisdom. Oh, we are so deluded. We used to do this. Myself used to do these things. So now, how can I, put them in our past positions? You can see we used to be in that position. Now, at least we have ability to separate, disassociate what they can do to us, but rather we learn to do something within ourselves that we could counter effect them eventually. Have to have faith. Have to be optimistic, it says. We have to be optimistic that this will change. Why? They're actually beaten more by their karma than our karma. And right now, we have this feeling as we want to be so good as to undo the harm they can cause to us. But, good practitioners are not trying to heal as everything is wonderful and perfect and very lovely. It's not like that. The more you practice forgiveness and healing, the other might do exactly double the worst towards you. But no matter how much they are escalating the aggression towards you, but your compassion is even more valid and wisdom is more valid. Then your compassion is really, really piloted by wisdom, discerning the suffering and its causes. Because what you are not resenting is not causing you to be upset by it. So you sort of develop this desensitivity that you don't get angered by what they're doing, but they awake your compassion even more higher level. And because of that, you have this confidence in the law of cause and effect. So long as I practice this, it will purify all the harms I have done to the other persons. this thing that I'm experiencing to this person is probably the kind of harm I have done to somewhere else. So let this all exhaust be a useful experience, and not sort of push them as that's their thing impinging on us. It's see that as these are our very self-inner work we're doing, is actually washing all the negativities we have unconsciously implicated to others. When you do that, you're not going to be agitated what they're doing, but you're going to be reminded by, what we exactly used to do like those things. Now I'm doing the thing to remedy that, and now it's so powerful, empowering not to be angered by this, but so useful to be woken up by this. Bodhisattvas, we call in Buddhism, and saints, practitioners who have reached that kind of level, when somebody harms them, when they're practicing tolerance, they don't mind it. They say, this is exactly the merit of practicing tolerance. Merit of practicing tolerance is the more harm they cause, the less harm it has to you, because you now know how to diffuse the thing. you know the real button, how to unswitch. He can't really harm me. I've got the real button here. You know how to you know how to de-escalate the problem, because there's no animosity cultivating from here. Even the animosity becomes cause of compassion. See, animosity is unrealized compassion. Now, your previous animosity, aversion, now slowly becomes compassion. You see? Love and hate is very, very fine line, It's their borders. It's one can quickly turn to this and quickly turn to that, When you really see that somebody's really harming you, really don't want them to do, but actually, when they do it, when you're in a good space, it really makes your practice of forgiveness, loving kindness even more validated. How could you prove light as light without bringing into darkness? Only when the darkness is dispelled, light is light. The light isn't light by itself. So even if we are practicing forgiveness, healing in ourselves, but if we cannot see the other, what is doing to testing our lightness, and we don't have the independently healed person in us, because they constantly. It doesn't mean that you don't experience any harm when you practice healing. You actually attract more, actually. Sorry about that. And, when you practice healing, you tend to sort of bring a lot of adversarial situations. But nonetheless, it really wakes you up many more times. Yeah. That is true practice. Even light is not light inherently. It's only in relation to dark. Then the light can prove itself. Yeah?
I'm just going to try and expand on your question a bit. Hopefully it's not the same question. But you mentioned earlier in the talk that you should try and surround yourself with good people who want you to be happy and supportive of you, and not surround yourself with people who are supporting your ego and all that. What if that bad friend in a physical sense is a person, I guess, that is being negative? Should you, in a sense, not have a relationship per se with them and try and strive to have be around good friends?
Exactly. That's fine. But this is exactly what we, when you are not able to, your nearness with someone is in benefiting both, and whereby we do not have sufficient compassion or goodness to help either the situation. So instead of staying in such kind of explosive situations, one need to exclude oneself. This is where you should go to. Some people try to exclude from such people and go to people who will massage your ego as if they're wrong and you're good that you came over here now, as you should be kept away from this problem. Actually, we should neither flee from such things nor fight against it. But doesn't mean we should always be near them. We should go to people like who gives you valid advice. Say, look, these people are just, their half of the problem is just as contributed by you as much as they contributed theirs to you. So they are mutually dependent on the sufferings and goodness all. So your being able to exclude from them is not just entirely for your safety, but for them as well. With that intention, then you're not fleeing from them. Nor are you trying to be with them fighting. So if you go to friends who can give you valid advice, how to give yourself a reasonable, respectful distance from such a person, but during which you retreat from those, but so that you can actually advance in the quality of relationship. You don't retreat to retreat, do you? That's ridiculous. You retreat to advance. So you might have to exclude from this person and then maybe surrounded by some people who will give you really useful advice how to really not to be thinking it's the other is the problem you're running away from, but actually you need to find the space and exclude yourself from such toxic situations and try to regain your humanity and goodness and then try to heal that one way or another by giving these reasonable distance from them so that the positive influence that you might have. Because what most people do is they try to fight or flee. When they flee, they go to friends and they actually talk the wrong conversations, yeah? They try to believe all your neurosis, and then actually you didn't flee an inch at all. You are just embracing the anger even more. So you physically maybe a couple of suburbs away, or maybe that you went interstate or whatever. But actually, anger towards the person has become even more stronger by talking to the kind of friends. So you have not really escaped or saved yourself from the problem at all. So lots of people do this toxic kind of parting without any effective remedy or healing in the relationship. Maybe them and us never meant to be together, but at least we don't have this nagging anger and resentment towards them. That is healing. Healing isn't necessarily having lack of problem. Because actually you grow from the problem, resolve that, actually understand about yourself more than other person really. Other person is just a mirror. We're just manifesting the pictures in them, whether we are changing or not changing. So sometimes it's good to be away. Then you realize when we are away from the supposed bad person, then you really got the wonderful person. All of a sudden, a wonderful person, so it's a really wonderful person. But slowly the wonderful person also becomes, oh, what is this? Here we go again. So therefore the Buddhist teaching, this author wrote saying, you don't try to cover the whole world with the leather, thinking it will hurt your feet, or because there's thorns or sharp pebbles. He said, just put the leather just under your soles, and then wherever you go, you'll be covered. It's like that. So we first have to make sure we got to do some inner work here, and then next time, when we go back to them or when we think about them, we actually have transformed our attitudes and perceptions about them, which really means we no longer we still remember some things, but that's only what we thought it was. But we don't have the same enmity or anger because we know they were invalid stories. They were wrong stories. They were badly written stories. Somebody write an article, then you read it, everybody says, the article has got a different kind of interpretation by different people, isn't it? So there's never an article that everybody will be happy with, So it's so that we actually have to learn to take some distinction between temporarily some are really, just by being with them, it's really harmful. So you need to go somewhere with a bit of a relief. we're retreating from them so that we actually advance something that we would not do with them too much. Maybe someone who's a friend who can really give us really, really unbiased advice, really humane advice. You can give that to anybody, it is relevant. When one who's able to give, that is the kind of friend we need to look for, what we call virtuous friend. Our first friends whose advice is really wholesome. You can always apply it in difficult situations. It's valid and useful to everyone. And so that kind of friend we usually do not find very easily, and we need to go for it. We need to look for it, and sometimes you'll find it, and that usually looks like a gem. We call gem. We found a gem, and you've got to thread that and then put it on the neck. Wear on Friday nights. So with it, we'll conclude here. I'm sure you will like to stay a little bit, have some tea, or meet some people. Most welcome to do that. Thank you very much for coming.
So thank you, Rinpoche, for the very important, timely, relevant talk, and making it so enjoyable for us to gently prod our feelings and neuroses and in such a delicate, sensitive, enjoyable way. And so I'm sure there's a lot you can take away from this evening. So thank you again for coming. I'd just like to finish by mentioning there's quite a lot of events in our organisation, society, not just public talks, but meditation weekends, both here in Canberra at our retreat centre outside of Queanbeyan, Virupa Retreat Centre, and also we have a large retreat centre in East Gippsland. For example, in June, on the 20th of June, Rinpoche is going to be giving a medicine Buddha empowerment at Evet. This is a one-day special event. Rinpoche, we're giving a traditional Tibetan Buddhist empowerment, and it involves people who are. This is to do with healing, not just physical, but also relationship, emotional. Very, very, very interesting experience. If you get the chance to do that, Rinpoche will be offering that. And then also, we have at SIBA, we have annual 10-day meditation retreat. Rinpoche was explaining the importance of meditation. So we do have this is something we've been running every year at our beautiful retreat centre in East Gippsland. And so that's in October. But you'll find lots of interesting information there. If you want to stay around, have a cup of tea, you can talk to some of the people if you want to find out a little bit more about it. Please be very welcome. Also, you can go onto our website, of course, and all the information's there. And of course, just a reminder that about the earthquake appeal that we're offering. There'll be people going around with these buckets, and also there's donation boxes. And also on our website as well, we have a very good donation system, which is very easy to use if you refer with a credit card, for example. So thank you once again for coming, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.